And now, back to the Dr. A Show with your host, Dr. Will Aguila.
Flirting has been around since the beginning of mankind. It just took many millions of years to perfect it, and this is what our next guest has done. Nationally renowned relationship expert and former director of flirting at Match.com, Fran Greene is here with us to show us how to flirt and get noticed. Her newest book is The Flirting Bible. Fran, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Dr. A. Who's going to have more fun, me or you?
Well, we'll find out at the end of the show.
Okay.
What is the goal of flirting, Fran?
It's a good question, and I think maybe I have some of the answers. The goal of flirting is to make the other person feel special and to make that person feel that they are the center of the universe and that nobody else matters.
It's really giving the attention to the other person, not making it about yourself.
It's absolutely not making it about yourself, and it's making the other person feel comfortable. It's building a bridge. It's testing the romantic waters, and it's a wonderful icebreaker, and it's also a fabulous tension reducer. You know, if you think about...
Right?
Yes, absolutely. Do you ever get butterflies or a dry mouth or sweaty palms when you see
we have all.
Yeah? Well,
I do that when I see my wife, so...
By the way, you should be flirting with your wife also.
Well, you know, that's a question I had for you a little later on, and might as well do it now. Okay, let's talk about flirting, but once you get married, should you continue to flirt, or is it over?
You have to flirt. You have to keep the spark alive, and you have to make your partner feel that they're not being taken for granted, that they are the center of your universe, and it's about doing things that makes that person feel really cared about, and also things that have the element of surprise. So whether it's leaving her a really romantic voicemail or sending a text for no reason or putting a note in her briefcase, whatever it is, just to let that person know that they mean the world to you. And
so what you're telling me is flirting doesn't necessarily have to be face-to-face all the time.
Oh, absolutely not. And also, one thing I want to do right from the start is differentiate flirting from seduction. Seduction is very clear. It's coming on to someone sexually. Flirting is not seduction. There's no power, there's no control, there's no manipulation. It is really being friendly. And what flirting allows you to do, it allows you to approach someone who you ordinarily would be too timid or too terrified to approach. And if your flirting partner is not responding back to you, your exit can be very subtle and can also be very lighthearted. So
well,
if I
but let me ask you something. What if you're the person who's timid and has a hard and you're shy and you have a hard time doing this?
Well, it's like riding a bicycle. It's really, really hard in the beginning. You have to think about every single move, and you're going to fall down, and you're not going to want to do it. It's the analogy is the same thing with flirting. The more you practice it, the better you get, and then all of a sudden, it becomes a part of who you are, and it becomes an extension of yourself. And
so a second nature kind of thing.
It really is, and anybody can be a good flirt.
Now, is flirting a prerequisite for all great relationships, you think?
I really think so. I also think that if you're in the market to meet someone, you've got to flirt because they've done, we're not talking about scientific studies, but we're talking about real-life studies. They've done studies, and they took 8 drop-dead gorgeous women and put them in a bar. And these women basically just sat very straight, had this very officious look on their face, basically made little or no eye contact. And then they had attractive women who made eye contact, moved closer to the person that they wanted to talk to, maybe kept time with the music. And those women got 8 times more attention than the drop-dead gorgeous women. And what that really has taught all of us, it's not about how attractive you are. It's about how approachable you are. And it doesn't mean that you can look like a schlub or you can look like someone who doesn't care about how they look. But the more approachable you are, the more people that you're going to attract.
How do you think that flirting has changed through the ages? Because it's been around since mankind, right?
So Antony and Cleopatra did it. Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton did it. I think, I really think that it's both men and women can flirt with each other, whether it's a heterosexual couple or a homosexual couple. It's something that is equal footing for both men and women.
And do you think it's changed? I mean, have the rules changed?
Have the rules of flirting changed? I think that what I've tried to do is redefine flirting. I don't think the rules have changed. I think that one of the things, if you want to meet someone, you have to step out of your comfort zone and take that risk. And I think one of the things that you need to do is reframe rejection. And the way I teach my clients, and when I'm doing my workshops, I say to them, you walk over to somebody, and in the next 5 or 10 minutes, they are not giving you the time of day. They're looking at their watch. They're looking at someone over your shoulder. They're answering you with one-word answers. And at that moment, you want to open up the ground and fall in and disappear. But since you can't do that, what I encourage people to do is symbolically, and I have to tell people symbolically means pretend, symbolically shake that person's hand and say, thank you so much for only wasting 10 minutes or 10 hours, 10 days, or 10 weeks of my time rather than 10 months or 10 years. And
that's a very good way of looking at it, quite frankly. I never thought of it that way, but you're right.
The person's doing you a huge favor. And not everyone's going to like you. Sorry to say, no matter how much you flirt, at least 1 out of 3 people are just not going to be interested. And those are the facts. But if you sit, and also you have to flirt online also. If, I am a great fan of online dating, and you have to have a thick skin to do that. And maybe one of our future shows can be on online dating, because it's a wonderful way.
You used to direct the flirting at Match.com, right?
Yes, I did.
Director of flirting. Yeah.
Yes.
So what did you learn from that?
That when you're making your first contacts with people, whether it's through email or a telephone conversation, you have to flirt. You have to be a little mysterious, compliment the other person, and make that person feel as if you are really interested in them and not just a date. And it's
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you, and what are some of the flirting's do's and don'ts? Because I'm sure there's some no-nos.
Without a doubt. First, with eye contact. You want your eye contact to be gentle, but forceful, which means that I want to look you in the eye. I don't want to look down on the ground when I'm talking to you, or I don't want to stare at you so that you want to escape me. When you're flirting with someone, you really don't want to get closer than 18 inches, which is about an arm's length, because anything closer than an arm's length is really reserved for an intimate relation. And you might be saying, well, what if I'm in a crowded bar or a party or on a subway or somewhere where it's really crowded? What I encourage people to do is sort of angle your body so that you're shoulder to shoulder, so you're still about an arm's distance. Also, when you're first meeting someone, you want to make sure that if you're having any physical contact, it's contact that's not going to make the other person feel uncomfortable. So whether it's shaking hands or perhaps a tap on the arm or on the shoulder, you don't want to touch someone's head or their cheek or above their knee. Those things are creepy and are going to turn people off.
I bet they do.
And also, you want to be able to show your vulnerability. I love this story when one of my clients told me she came out of the ladies' room and everyone around her is laughing. So she's saying, She had no clue. She figured, wow, they're really interested and, they want to talk to her. And this one guy tapped her on the shoulder and said, I've got to tell you, you have toilet paper stuck to your foot about 26 inches. She looks down, and yes, she has the toilet paper. She said to him, "I adore you. Can I buy you a drink?" He looked at her and said, "Of course." You know, they dated a couple of times. It wasn't the romance of the century.
But wait, wasn't she the one that told him, "Why don't you can you step on the toilet paper as it comes off my shoe or something?"
Yeah, right, exactly, right.
There you go. Turned up a negative into a positive. That's very nice.
Yes, and you know, she was able to show her own vulnerability, and that is something that is so attractive.
We'll pick it up back when we get after the break.
Okay.
We'll continue on with this. And we are speaking with nationally renowned relationship expert and former director of flirting at Match.com, Fran Greene. What makes a great opening line? We're going to talk about this as we continue with the Dr. A Show and the Flirting Bible segment.
And now, back to the Dr. A Show with your host, Dr. Will Aguila.
Welcome back to the show. We are speaking with nationally renowned relationship expert and former director of flirting at Match.com, Fran Greene. Her newest book is The Flirting Bible, and that's exactly what we're talking about, flirting. Now, before the break, we were talking about a lot of different things about flirting, especially the do's and don'ts. Is there something that you would be doing when you're flirting that's really a turnoff and you don't even realize you're doing it?
I think getting too close to the person that you're talking to. And if anybody remembers the Seinfeld episode with the close talker, where you just in somebody else's face, it's like so irritating and so annoying. Or someone who is paying attention to what they're going to say next rather than listening to the person who's trying to flirt with you. That's really a big turnoff because you know the person isn't listening to you. Or the person that gives compliments that are absolutely ingenuous. People can see right through that. You know, somebody at a bar, the guy who like comes up and says, "Oh, wow, you are just, you know, the hottest thing I've seen." And the next thing you know, he's on to the next person and says, "Oh, wow, great outfit." You know, somebody whose goal is just to win and conquer and go on to the next.
As you said earlier, it's more seduction than flirting.
Absolutely.
Now, speaking of a bar, is it okay for a woman to approach a man at a bar or elsewhere?
Oh, absolutely. Not only is it okay, you got to do it. I mean, you only got one shot at this. Life is not a dress rehearsal. And if you are really serious about finding, you know, a date, a spouse, someone to have a relationship with, it really would be great if Prince or Princess Charming, if Prince Charming would knock at your door, or the love of your life would come and, like, knock on the door and say, "Hi, I'm here." But it just doesn't work that way. If you want something...
You got to go out and look for it.
And, you know, when you think about this, Dr. Ray, we spend so much time researching the latest computer, or if we want to buy a home, or if we're going away to college, or if we're getting a new car. If we only spent that same amount of time in practicing and figuring out ways that we can bring people into our lives, people would not be so miserable. And especially people who are divorced or widowed. People don't expect, perhaps in their 40s or 50s, to be at the stage of life where they are looking for another partner. But sometimes life happens, and you really have to make the lemonade out of lemons.
Yeah, so listen up, because those are you going through this right now that are listening. That's the power of flirting, right?
Oh, absolutely. If you look around and you see who has a crowd of people around them, it's somebody who has a great smile, who's making eye contact, who just feels good about themselves. And you know what the number one ingredient to being a fabulous flirt is? Besides you, of course, Dr. A.
Thank you. If you could see me on the other end, you know that I'm smiling.
And I hope you're blushing a little.
I'm not blushing yet. You haven't given me that special handshake.
By the way, what happens when you're really flirting is like I forgot what I wanted to say next because I just got so involved in the moment. And that's really what flirting is all about. It's about being spontaneous. You
have these tools that you can use when you're flirting, and that's what I want to get into right now.
Okay, go ahead.
And one of them is your special handshake.
Yes.
And of course, we're not going to be able to show you this over the radio, but if you go online, you can actually YouTube it, and she can show you the special handshake. But describe it to us.
Let me do the woman to the man first. So I see you on the other side of the room, and I say, this guy looks like the kind of guy I'd like to meet. And I said to myself, well, if I don't go over, somebody else might. So I walk over, and I say, "Hi, I'm Fran." And with my right hand, I go and I shake your hand. I make good eye contact, and I smile. And with my left hand, I very gently and quickly brush the back of your other hand.
Now I'm blushing.
Do you get the picture? Do you get the feeling?
Not yet, but I would if I met you.
The whole idea is it's not about being seductive to the person. It's about being a fabulous icebreaker. And I want you to smile, and it's really a conversation starter. So, and now I'll reverse it with the man giving a woman. If you're going to shake my hand, think of your hand as the bread, my hand as the peanut butter, and your other hand as the other piece of bread. So you're going to give my hand an extra squeeze, maybe for about 5 seconds.
Otherwise, it would be creepy. So just a quick, not very hard, right? Just quick little squeeze.
And don't crush the rings into the hands. That's the worst. When I encourage women, you want to give the guy a firm handshake, not like a little wimpy one, with like just the edge of your fingers. Ugh, not good.
It's good to know that. But there are other tools that women can use, and a powerful one is the head toss, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Tell us about that.
We're going to try to visually, if a woman has any kind of, hair that's going to move, it's sort of pushing your head back and also simultaneously putting your hands, sort of through your hair, and it's almost about primping. If you do that in the presence of a man, he's going to be saying to himself, she wants me to notice her. It's very different than taking the hair and twirling it around your finger 100 million times. That's a nervous habit, and that's something that's not flirtatious.
And also, another tool that women have is the look-down technique, which you say is actually quite powerful. How does that work?
Well, what I want to do is I want to look and look down, look and look down, so that you're going to catch the gaze of the man that you want to flirt with, and then you're going to look away or you're going to look down. And what we hope will happen is that you'll both make eye contact together, and then you will walk over towards each other and start a conversation. The nonverbal aspects of flirting are very powerful, but at some point you got to get out of your comfort zone, take a deep breath, and say hi. And one of the things you were talking about before is the best opening line. I'm sort of standing next to you, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce myself, and then you're going to say, how are you? Are you ready, Dr. A?
Let's do it.
Hi, I'm Fran. Nice to meet you.
How are you?
A whole lot better now that you came over to talk to me.
Wow. That does work. Really,
the best opening line is just saying hi and introducing yourself. But when you get stumped and you don't know what to say, here are my tips. You either compliment the person, and your compliment needs to be sincere and honest. The best compliments have the element of surprise. So, for example, let's say you're always complimented because you have fabulous, huge brown eyes. And everyone always says, oh, Dr. Ed, you have the greatest eyes. No big deal. But if somebody comes over to you and says, wow, Dr. A, you have the most soothing voice. I could listen to you, for the next 2 hours. You're going to say, oh, wow, that person was like overhearing my conversation with someone. Or if someone says to you, let's say you're waiting online for tickets for the hottest movie that just came out and you got to go an hour and a half early. And you just seem to be standing there very relaxed. And I'm standing behind you and I say, my God, you seem so patient. If I only could have an ounce of your patience. I'm ready to tear the hair out of my head. You're just sort of sitting here, seems like it's not even fazing you. It means that a person paid attention. So you can compliment, you can talk about the surroundings, you can ask a question, or ask for help. All of those things are great ways to start a conversation.
Very quickly, just mention the top 10 flirting tips of all time. So it'll be like we're bringing it all together here.
Got it. My top 10 list of flirting tips. Flirting is an attitude. A good flirt must be self-confident. You've got to start a conversation. The best opening line is saying hello, talk about the surroundings, ask a question, or state an opinion. You have to have fun. You have to be playful, lighthearted, and spontaneous. Use props. A good flirt never leaves home without a prop. Props are natural conversation starters. So it could be a dog, a young child, unusual jewelry, a sweatshirt with a passion of yours on it. Be the host. I want you to change your behavior from being a guest to being a host. And what the host is, they're not the passive person in waiting, but rather they're the welcome committee. You've got to make the first move. Move closer to the person you want to meet. I want you to listen. There's a biological reason why you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. That's because you should listen twice as much as you talk. Eye contact. You must make eye contact no more than 2 to 4 seconds. And compliment your flirting partner. Remember, your compliments must be honest, sincere, and genuine. And when you receive a compliment, the best response is merely thank you. And the most important part of flirting is smiling. It's absolutely contagious. It'll make you so much more approachable. And a smile lights up your face, and it says, I'm okay, I'm friendly, and you will be a people magnet. Try it.
Fran, thanks so much for flirting with us on the show. Once again, the book is called The Flirting Bible, and the author is Fran Greene. Fran, where can our listeners get a hold of you or contact you, and especially if they want some counseling?
Certainly, they can go to my website, which is frangreene.com. That's FRANGREENE.com. Or they can call me, and the phone number is 631-265-LOVE. That's 631-265-LOVE. Or email me at flirtingcoach@yahoo.com. You can email me at flirtingcoach@yahoo.com.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dr. A. Happy flirting.
And that is our show for today. We love to hear from you, so remember to log on to my website, thedrshow.com, and leave us your comments, suggestions, and questions. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Until next week, this is Dr. A wishing you a healthy and happy week.